All right, we are live. So we are playing Edge of the Empire, and in a what I hope becomes a series of games titled Hut Space Encounters. We will be hopefully seeing if the PCs survive a encounter on Nal Hutta. So today, what we're going to do is I'll give a brief introduction, and we're just going to jump right into the game, and I'll let the characters introduce themselves sort of in game. I'm going to also ask you guys a couple of questions just in the beginning here, just to set a little bit of background. But the premise of the adventure is that for whatever reason, you guys have decided to accept a job from Triloc the Hutt. She is a notorious sort of middle level, kind of thug that runs a little bit of a crime syndicate on Nar Shaddaa. And it's kind of well known now, or becoming well known within the underworld, especially within Hut Space, that she's feeling a little bit like she wants to increase her station, so to speak. And so what she realizes is that the Grand Hutts, someone like Jabba, for example, he's got a rancor in his palace, on Tatooine. They've got these just sort of opulent, dangerous displays, and so she wants one. So she's put out a contract that will pay 10,000 credits for the capture of a Chemilizard, or as it's known locally, an Orpali dragon. And they reside in the fetid, polluted swamps of Nal Hutta. So she has provided you with the ability to go there to seek out this mission if you want. But this is not an exclusive contract. You find out that others may have accepted the same job. And so it's kind of a race to see, one, if you can find this creature, capture it, and do so before somebody else does. And they may be gunning for you. So what we're going to do is, if you guys, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the D100 here, and we're going to see if anybody obligation triggers. 45. So that is Zota. That is your never use a ranged weapon obligation. And I feel like this is going to be tough in the sense that this mission, you can't, if you bring this guy back dead, this creature back dead, you don't get paid, and you're probably going to piss off the hut. So go ahead and reduce your strain by 2, everybody else by 1. But I will also let you know, Zota, that you realize you've kind of partnered up with these, this crew, because you can't do this alone, right? But the Wookiee, you notice really he's only carrying this big vibro axe. You don't see really, ranged weapons on him either. So, how are you feeling about that? I mean, what does that do? And how does that kind of, I don't know, strain the relationship or not?
Well, Zota would definitely be thinking that seeing another melee combatant here, it will be sort of open season. He'll have to prove himself, or just see what happens in the fray to see who is the ultimate in the true combat. But beyond that, he would be wondering about how this Wookiee is going to take in this beast alive using a vibro axe.
Yeah, definitely.
He'd be thinking, like, weighing about the flesh being carved off and the credits being lost from the possible reward for a capture of this beast.
Yeah, definitely. And so I would imagine, that's sort of going through your head as you're standing on a sort of landing platform right in front of, or right next to, this Hutt repulsor sled. And you're kind of right on the outskirts of Bilbausa city, which is the capital city of Nal Hutta. And this is very different, right? Because you guys might be used to the sprawling, urban monstrosities of places like Nar Shaddaa, for example. But this one is very different. It's all kind of low, hive-like structures built into the swamps and everything. And while you're used to that sort of pollution and just, every day is misery in hut space, that exists here, but it's different, right? It's blended with that just nasty, fetid disgustingness that is a swamp planet. And you've come on an especially bad day because it's very hot. And so it's kicking up a lot of this sort of radioactive mist. And so you realize that it's very difficult for you to kind of see anywhere for very far in front of you. You guys have contacted, one of the sort of low-level bureaucrats that is involved in Triloc's organization, and they've set you up with this repulsor sled that's a little bit modified, because what they say is, look, we're not interested. You don't need to bring it back to Triloc on Nar Shaddaa. You just need to get it and bring it back to the spaceport, and we've got a ship all ready to go. But this is not necessarily an easy mission, and I don't assume any of you guys are expert hunters or trackers. So if you're not, they have set you up with scanning equipment. But this person has also said, listen, it's going to be difficult for you to track this beast. Another group did go out to track this thing, and for a few credits, I might be able to load their transponder signal into your navigation system. What do you say to that? And Zoda, he's talking specifically to you.
Did you say to Zota?
Yep.
Oh, I would not object to the modifications. They would almost certainly prove useful.
Great. And this is like this little kind of Rhodian, very grungy, whatever. And you actually can tell he's got a slave brand on him, which, he's got Triloc the Hutt's T kind of branded into him. He looks very shifty. His eyes are kind of glassy. You assume he might be, I don't know, high on spice or death sticks or something. But he says, all right. Well, 25 credits and I'll load it in there. All right. And he's looking around the whole time as you're saying this, or as he's saying this.
Well, 25 sounds fine to me, and I'll actually stick 30 credits into his open Rhodian hand.
Awesome. And so he's loading that in, and as he's doing that, you would hear him say, those damn Trandoshans, they don't know what they're in for. I have a feeling, well, they're going to die in the swamp. And Frobaki, you would catch this, right? Under, kind of, he's saying it sort of under his breath, but talking to himself, but he definitely mentioned Trandoshans. So how do you react to that?
The Wookiee will walk forward with his fake cybernetic eye and let the vibroax smack down on the Duracrete and go, and in Shiriwook, I'll tell him, pardon me, sir, did you say Trandoshans?
And he jumps back, oh, kind of startled, and he looks up at you, and then he looks to Zoda, and he's like, what did he say? What did I do? Don't let him kill me. I'm helping you.
And I'll be like, no, it was a simple inquiry. And my hair is spiked up in an afro like a mad scientist, and it just looks like it's sparking with static electricity.
Yeah, and this guy is definitely freaked out, and he's like, look, I don't want any trouble. And you can tell something happened previously, probably recently. He looks the worse for wear. He's like, look, I tried to help them too. I know I probably shouldn't have, but just look, don't tell Triloc. everything will be fine, all right? Just okay, we're gonna be fine. Like he's freaking out.
I will lower the blade back down so it looks less menacing and just step back, shaking my head, knowing that we cannot communicate with this guy. And
Nice.
I'll tell the Zoda, ooh, I think he does not speak the fine language of Shuriwook.
The finer things seem to be evading this one.
Perhaps it is best if you are our tongue with this man. Though I did hear Trandoshan. If you could inquire further, this honored ally would be in your debt. And my name Frobaka means honored ally in Shuriwook, so it's something he drops from time to time.
And Zota will square off with the Rhodian again and squat down to face him while he's loading this gear onto the repulsor sled. He'll say, you were speaking, though, of a party out in the swamp. Transoceans? How many? Were they carrying arms?
He says, "Oh, yes, they were. I mean, there was only 3 of them. They were fairly heavily armed. I mean, as Transoceans do, right? But presumably they were going out to find this as well. I loaded the coordinates in there. I'm a bit of a." And he kind of looks to the Wookiee, and then he looks back to you, and he's a little worried, and he's like, I have some local knowledge down here. I'm not up on Nar Shaddaa as much, so I've gotten to know some people, and sometimes that information is valuable to the right people. But I'm sure you'll keep that all quiet, right? And he's like looking nervous.
Oh, of course, good friend. And I think if you were to let us know some of that information, it would go a long way to keeping that Wookiee happy.
Zota. He implied that they are perhaps hunters. Ask him if they have the braids of Wookiee hair, if they have slain one of my kin.
And Zota will turn to the little underling, and he'll inquire, did these Trandoshans, did they carry the braids of Wookiees?
And he looks like he's about to piss his pants. And he looks to the Wookiee. He's like, no, I didn't see anything like that. Well, I mean, and he's stumbling over his words. And you can you get the impression that there is something that he's not wanting to say, but he's also sincere about this, that those people did not have the braids of, at least not that he knew of Wookiees.
And,
is there
oh, go ahead.
Just like, because I can understand basic, I just can't speak it. So as he's like trying to give me that answer, my thumb will flip on the Vibro X and the head will start vibrating on it. And I'll turn around and just pick it above my head like a Tusken Raider wielding a gaffy stick. And I'll slam it down into a Duracrate that's sitting over to the side and just cut the thing in half.
Yeah, and he's definitely freaked out. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't see anything. I promise." And if you wanted to, you could certainly do a couple of things. I mean, if you want to try to intimidate him, you certainly can. Whether you want to do that, however you want to do that, go ahead. You can do that, or you can try to maybe coerce him a little bit. You do know that he, he does give out information for money. So,
that scene from A New Hope where it's like, I don't like you, or my friend doesn't like you, I don't like you either. Well, I'm thinking maybe me destroying the crate and the fact that my language is incomprehensible, perhaps that could give a boost to my dear Zabrak friend here, and he could tell him.
Yeah, I would say that's legit. Absolutely.
Well, what Zota will do then, seeing this display of force on the Duracrate, he'll lean in tight to this close to probably terrified individual, and he'll slip in a further 100 credits and say, Well, there's something you want to tell us. It's right on the tip of your tongue, my friend. And I think it will, again, go a great distance to soothe this Wookiee.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and go ahead and make a coercion roll, but it's just 1 difficulty right now. Or no, sorry, it's 2 difficulty, but go ahead and add the boost die. All right. Excellent. So let's see. Okay, yeah. So this is what he says. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And he takes the credits and he's like, I was telling you the truth. They didn't have any braids, but well, there's another one out there, meaner, nastier. He didn't really seem with them, but he was somehow with them. Trandoshan by the name of Trex. I don't know if you know him, if that means anything to you, but there's rumors about him. I mean, I didn't see any Wookiee pelts, but I've heard stuff.
And so the 3 and this Trax, is that right?
Trex, yeah.
Well, I'll take that to note. Did Trax have anything else about him that stood out? Did he have different armament?
Oh yeah. He was nasty. You don't want to take him on. No, he was. He had a big weapon and good armor. I mean, yeah. I wouldn't want to take him on.
And Zota will calmly look at Frobaka, and he'll like ask, or I guess it'll be in basic, but yeah, he'll ask, make sure you heard the name Trax, and if that registers with him at all.
Is Trax prominent enough for me to possibly know him?
Yeah, definitely. I would say you could definitely make like a knowledge underworld or knowledge outer rim. Difficulty 2.
Okay, shoot, and even odds.
Okay. Yeah, so he is well known in Hutt space as a slaver. He runs slaves for Triloc the Hutt on Nal Hutta, and he specializes in Wookiee pelts. So yeah, this guy is definitely a bad dude.
My right eye will widen, and the grip on the vibro axe will tighten, and I'll just take my left hand and strike my chest several times like an ape, and then hold it out and shake it as he's saying how he wouldn't mess with him if he was us. And I'll turn back to you, Zota, and I'll say, "Ooh, slaver scum."
And nodding, Zota will turn back to the underling, and he'll say, I think, unless you have anything else to tell me about Trax, you probably should skedaddle for now.
Yeah, no, there's nothing else. I think you're right. But he shoots a glance kind of over at Helix, and he kind of looks at you and he says, is that the same droid that was part of the Coral Vanda heist?
Heists? I have not partaken in any heists myself, but he looks easily approached. You could go ask him what you would.
No. That's okay. It's just if it is, just let him know I'm a huge fan. That was unbelievable. That's been making its way through, all over, especially in Nar Shaddaa. I mean, if he wants for anything, he just needs to ask. And he kind of looks for a minute, and then he starts kind of shuffling back. And he says, as he's leaving, he says, "Oh, you guys should probably get going. Those guys only left about 20 minutes before, but with the swamp and everything, you don't want to lose them."
All right. And I think Zota will turn back to Frobaka. And sorry, what is your character's name? Sorry, Helix. To Helix and Frobaka and say, well, had we best head out into the field?
Yeah, Frobaka will slowly nod his head, and he'll say, one thing has been troubling me, though. We are to take this beast alive. While I am adept at killing, subdual is not my specialty.
Helix has 2 large rifle cases, one on each side of him on the floor. And at that question, he'll kick one over and pull the lid up, and it'll be a large stun rifle. This is for subduing, and then he'll kick the other one over, and it'll be his modified heavy repeating blaster. This is for anyone that chooses to get in our way.
And Zota, he would just click the ignition on his force pike, and it would spark the stun tip of it cracking with energy.
Frobaka will sling that vibro axe over his back, and he'll look at the two of you and hit his hands a couple times together like he's warming up for some shock glove boxing. And he'll say, I'm not so bad myself in a brawl. Throw a couple combos.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, here you are standing next to or beside or whatever this just, repulsor sled modified. I mean, they're meant to carry huts anyway, right? But this one's slightly modified, and on the back it's got this these sort of 2 like arching pinnacles or whatever, and they kind of arch in, and you can see this electricity, and you'd basically know that what this is going to do is create kind of like a mini little stasis field, so that if you're able to get this creature in there, it will stay subdued until you can get it, to the starport. And right now the repulsor is, kind of powered up. It's ready to go, but you can see this little, like, whoever is going to jump in the, the pilot seat is going to see this little like black or red dot flashing on the comm navigation system, getting a little bit further and further. But it's almost difficult to see because this, like I said, this sort of radioactive mist is just kind of all around you. And it's kind of playing a little bit of havoc with the sensors. So you realize that this info chant sets you up with transportation, but man, it's not very good. So what are you guys going to do? Who's going to decide to pilot this thing?
I could drive, but would either of you prefer to drive? It's not one of my specialties.
This one is better served as an extra set of I. And you notice that he says it's singular and not plural.
And I suppose we'd best keep you on the end of that rifle, Helix.
Agreed. If you run into trouble, I do have some basic programming that can assist with piloting.
All right.
So he'll load up his gun cases and get his heavy blaster set up.
Awesome.
I've been meaning to ask you, Helix, about that man. He mentioned the caper on the Coral Vanda. Did you serve with the mighty Lojek? He's a paragon of my kind.
Indeed. He was.
Is it true what they say?
Warrior. What do they say?
That he can cut a droid deco in half with a single swing of an axe.
By my recollection, it was 3.
You'll see like his jaw just drop a little bit, and then he catches himself and it shuts his mouth. Of course.
Yeah, and I would imagine, I mean, Zota, how would you kind of respond to that hearing, I mean, he cut him down 3 droidecas with a melee weapon. Like, that's pretty impressive. I mean, granted, he's not here, but still.
Yes, it definitely sounded like an incredible feat. But I think Zota would use the opportunity to mention that indeed that scamp, he did mention some caper or heist, but I tried not to play into it, but I fear my face gave it away. But is that true? You're quite famous in these parts, I guess.
It would seem so.
Yeah, the whole underworld is buzzing about the caper, on Coral Vanda, because nothing quite like that has been pulled off. And even though you got away with only, a million, I think 1.85 or 1.875 million, that's a huge score, especially the slaves that exist in Hutt space. I mean, just think, that's something they couldn't even imagine in their wildest dreams. But as you would imagine, bad boys and criminals and somebody that could get away with that kind of thing would be famous and would be sought after, to be honest, by the criminal element. So Helix, you're starting to realize that it may be difficult for you to go around Hutt space incognito. But then again, you have ways around that.
Yeah, he's not really too surprised to hear that the stories have gotten out, and of course, I'm sure with each telling they get more grander. For his part, of course, he doesn't really feel human emotions, at least not as intensely. So there's no he's just very matter of fact about it. He doesn't have any pride or whatever about it. He's just like, yeah, that's me, and
Yep.
That's just kind of that.
Yeah, excellent. Well, great. And so, was there anything else that you guys wanted to do or whatever before you kind of take off into the swamp, or any questions that you had?
Do people that go into the swamp wear any type of environmental gear typically?
It depends. If they were going to be spending a great deal of time in there, they probably would. I mean, an enviro suit couldn't hurt, but the expectation is that you shouldn't need to spend a tremendous amount of time in there.
Is there a place that we can try to get some supplies? Just based on his own experience, it's not an issue for Plex. But he would recommend for the more fleshy of his companions that they at least get some kind of breathing device, because he's ran into several situations where that has been an issue for those he's traveled with. So that would be his first recommendation. And then secondly, especially maybe for Frobaka, for if maybe we can find some grenades or something more suitable for stunning or non-lethal things.
At the suggestion, the Zabrak Zota would smile, and he'd pull down the sheaf of extra sort of collar that's bunched up under his neck, and there is indeed the mask for a rebreather, an air mask there. And he would also, preparing to head out, pull down the mask to his armor, which does have enhanced optics. Won't help him piloting, but it will help him with some visual checks should the haze be formidable in the swamp.
Yeah, and in fact, mechanically it will, in a sense, because normally there would be 2 setback dice for piloting, and I think it reduces 2 setback dice, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, for perception, surveillance, vigilance, combat, due to smoke, darkness, and viral effects.
Yeah, so I would say that if you're piloting, that won't affect your piloting checks in this case. Yeah. So yeah, and honestly, we can say that, being that you guys knew that you were coming to the swamp, if you want to say that Frobaka has a rebreather, that's fine.
Yeah, in fact, just for expedience sake, knowing ahead of time what the mission was, Helix probably would have bought it. I'll go ahead and pay for it with my character, a rebreather, and if it's possible to have gotten some stun grenades. I don't know if there's any other kind of grenades that might be good for subduing large creatures that would be easy to get my hands on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think stun grenades would be fine, to be honest.
Yeah. So
Could I locate shot gloves by chance?
Yeah, I would say that's something fairly easy to come across in this part of the part of the Empire. Sure.
And my plan for Robaka 2 when we go and try to buy these is instead of paying credits, I want to ask the shopkeep if anybody owes him some money, if there's any delinquent tabs, and kind of suggest that because I'm buying the shot gloves, I'm an enforcer. Like I might be able to go out and bust a couple kneecaps and bring him back the credits that are owed to him.
Nice, nice. So what I'll say is that you guys stopped off at Nar Shaddaa beforehand because that's where you would have gotten the mission from. And yeah, maybe you bought them there. And so, I mean, yeah, he's like, pick your poison. If you want, if you want some contract work, we got some contract work. But yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah, I mean, if you're down for it, I'll take some debt with the guy to collect on these guys that owe him money for the gloves.
Okay, yeah, so we'll do that. What we'll do is hopefully bring that into play in a future session. But yeah, I think that would make sense. And I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna leave it up to you. Does this guy work with one of the Hutts, particularly with Triloc the Hutt, or does he work for somebody else?
Yeah, I'm cool with him working for Triloc.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so he's part of Triloc's organization then. She's known for running extortion rings and protection rackets and all that, so that fits right in there. But yeah, that's fine. You would have those shock gloves, definitely. So yeah, if you get to knock out a Chemilizard with shock gloves, that will be awesome. So we'll see what happens.
So can I also get a few of those stun grenades?
Yeah, sure. I would say certainly you guys could probably have, I don't know, 3 stun grenades. That would make sense. And so as you guys kind of head out into the swamp, this repulsor sled is just slow and sluggish, right? It's like it'll move and you can get some speed on it, but as you're kind of going deeper and deeper into the swamp, following the transponder of the Trandoshans ahead of you, who presumably have the location of a Chemilizard den. You'll see like these, swamp speeders kind of going past you at high speed, these almost like hoverboat type things. And as you go deeper in, you start to realize that this isn't the easiest way, thing to pilot through. I mean, one, even though Zoda, you have the enhanced vision, it's dense and it's nasty, and all of a sudden you'll get pockets of earth, and there might be a settlement or something like that. So you're kind of having to constantly whatever, and then you guys will see from time to time the water of the swamp, it'll ripple, right, because there's like boats and stuff going by, but there's also something maybe coming in and out of the water. You have a feeling that there might be creatures inhabiting that water, and so you're kind of trying to stay away from those. But you manage to make your way to within a couple of sort of I don't know, I forget what the term is for it in this game, but if we were to go into, sort of vehicle combat, a couple of spaces away, so it would take you maybe 3 or 4, you're probably long range at this point. You can't see up ahead of you, but that you've gotten in fairly close. to these unsuspecting Trandoshans. So what is your plan? What are you going to do?
I think silently Zota would bring the car or the repulsor sled to a halt even, and keep it running, but just motion with like his fingers to where he believes the ultimate location of the transponder for the Trandoshans are. He's just looking to them like what's the next step.
So you said that they're at long range?
Yeah, so at this point, if you were mechanically, if you were to like be in, it would take you a couple of rounds to get to them. But they can't see you right now. They're not necessarily aware of you.
Well, I have a long range on my heavy repeating blaster.
Okay.
So would I be able to see them to take a shot at them?
Well, probably not, because at this point it's difficult to see anything that far ahead of you. You're going to have to get in pretty close if you want to be able to see them.
Frobaka will climb up on the back, like in a crouch position, like he's getting ready to board, and he'll look at Zota and take his right hand and just cut it across his furry mane right over the jugular.
And Zoda's head will turn back to where he believes the Trandoshans to be, and he will accelerate.
Okay. And just as you do that, you kind of hear this whoosh, splash come out of the water, and this giant fish-like creature, this huge maw with these enormous teeth, are coming right at you. So you're going to have to do something to get out of the way of this thing, or it's going to come down and just eat you whole.
Yeah, maybe he'd push off of the helm or from being at the wheel and like just try to drop, trying to dodge right out of the way.
Oh, so sorry. This thing is massive. Like, this will probably take out the repulsor sled and just push it right underwater. It's huge.
Oh, then rather than just accelerating forward, I guess he'd punch it.
Okay.
Like just slam it, give it as much gas as he could.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, are you going to try to maybe accelerate it faster than it normally would in this case? Yeah, okay.
Pedal to the metal.
All right, so go ahead then. So you're going to take one system strain, but yeah, you go and you kind of dodge it out of the way. Go ahead and make a piloting check for me. This thing is huge and it doesn't move particularly fast, so I'm going to say 2 difficulty, but I'm also going to give you 1 setback because you weren't expecting it.
All right. Ooh, fail, but I got an advantage.
Okay. So, ouch. All right, so what I'm going to say then is that the advantage lets you, yeah. That's nasty. 4 failure and 1 advantage.
Well, what if the damage is to the craft and not to the allies?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that you do manage to get it out of the way in a sense, but it takes some massive strain. So this thing is on its last legs, and in fact, what I think I'm going to do, just because I'm a nasty guy, I'm going to roll and see what do we got here on the critical table. Oh, nice. So this thing right now, oh, it says shields down, so I'm not gonna, it's not affected. But yeah, this thing definitely has taken 2 system strain. So you have a total of 3 system strain now. So this repulsor sled is having a hard time, but it goes back under the it goes back under the water, and you're able to kind of manage to punch it out of the way, and you're going along. You realize though that this thing is starting to make some noise. It's like sputtering and like, so it's not very quiet. So do you plan on approaching the Trandoshans?
I think so. You might even still be thinking about putting more distance between him and what just attacked him. So yeah, I think you would, despite the noise, get the chitty chitty bang bang going faster.
Okay. So yeah, you're gonna just punch it up to full speed and kind of see if you can come up to them.
Assuming I still have the Wookiee masthead on the back of the ship.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, he's just covered with like soot as this black smoke poured out of where the damage got dealt to the craft, and it's like staining this ring around his face black.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, so you guys are kind of going in just kind of straight at them. You know that there is no way that they're not going to hear you. But because you guys are preparing for battle, what I'm going to do is you will make it up to them. They know somebody's coming. So I'm going to have everyone roll initiative, but you can use vigilance because you are sort of prepared to take them on.
Yeah, Frobaka is drawing his Vibro Axe too. He doesn't need to take these alive.
Nice. All right, and Helix, what do you get? Oh, wow, yeah. So Helix, you definitely go first. And then Frobaka, you'll go second.
So is it a vehicle that's similar to ours?
Yeah, it is. So what you're seeing is there is a Hutt repulsor sled, very similar to yours, with a pilot in the front seat and 2 Trandoshans in the back, both holding heavy blaster, or sorry, blaster carbines.
Okay, I'm going to open up with my heavy repeating blaster. I am going to, what do I want to do? Yeah, I'm going to attempt to auto fire. So that's an extra difficulty. What range are we at?
At this point, you would have gotten within medium range.
So that would be what, normally 2?
2, yeah.
So that'll be 3 difficulty. And sorry, I got a lot here. Precise aim. And I'll use precise aim just in case they have any melee or any range defense. That'll be reduced by 1.
Okay.
And let's see.
And they don't.
Okay. But he's not sure of that, so I'm just going to go ahead and.
Yep. And what exactly are you trying to like kind of blast fire at them, just like spray the whole group?
Yeah, the 2 that are armed.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, if I can get the auto fire to go off.
Yeah.
So then, precise aim, quick strike. We're going to do that. Simple shot. Don't need to do that. Don't need that. I get true aim. Oh boy, this is going to be good. So 1.
And just for fun, I'm going to spend a destiny point to upgrade one of your difficulties.
Okay, so 2 purple and 1 red.
Yep.
Okay, so just one quick double check here. So true aim. Get one of those for aiming and 1 for quick strike. And then 2 upgrades to my skill. So that's 2, 2, that's 1. Oh boy. Here we go. Nice.
Wow.
So yeah, that will activate the auto fire. Because I think that only needs what? What does that need? 2?
Probably,
2.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then that will also be 2 crits. So I guess a crit apiece if it needs it. The damage is 16 with Pierce 2.
Okay. So you managed to obliterate both of those guys. If you want to kind of go ahead and describe the scene.
So yeah, basically as we narrowly avoid this creature taking us down, I imagine that there's water and swamp kind of splashed all over the bottom of the deck here. And once we get straightened and start giving pursuit, Plex very coldly mechanically gets in a kneeling position and sets up his heavy repeating blaster, aiming in the direction in which they indicated, and he'll slowly begin to see the shape of the vehicle through the haze as they get close enough. And then as soon as he sees the two targets, he takes one moment, then begins squeezing the trigger as he strafes it across both targets. The heavy blaster files sinking into their flesh several times each as they're thrown back against I imagine the front of the vehicle.
Yeah, definitely. And they don't even necessarily have time to yell out. They're just totally like lit up by your rifle. And the pilot kind of looks back, nervous and whatever, and then you see him starting to like veer off to the right. Now you guys also have the coordinates for approximately where the cave is going, and so he's trying to get the hell out of there. He seems like he's given up on the mission. But what do you want to do? And I'm actually I'm going to look specifically to Frobaka. You see this Trandoshan fleeing. 2 of them have died, but you do know that your quarry lies ahead.
Oh, the answer for Frobaka is an obvious one. He'll let out like a Wookiee roar and say, "After him! He's trying to escape! Pull up! I'll finish him off!"
And that is, when it comes to Zota's turn, that's all he's going to do is like a captain of a fish boat. He's just going to stand stoically driving the ship even further closer to this quarry.
Okay. And so you're kind of, like kind of going along, and it's shuddering and whatever. You realize that your craft is not doing too well, and you're trying to pilot up next to him. Now, this is actually somewhat difficult because he's trying to full speed ahead, get out of there. So go ahead and make a piloting check for me. It's going to be against a difficulty of 2, but I'm also going to have 1 setback because of the condition of the ship or the repulsor sled at this point. You're having a hard time. So if you want to kind of catch up to him, you're going to have to go ahead and do that.
All right. And I don't have ranks in either, but that would be planetary if I did, right?
It is, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's actually, it's not difficulty 2, it's difficulty 3.
Oh, okay. I think if I roll 1 purple, we can...
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So you succeed, but with what, 4 threat?
Yeah.
Okay. So you manage to somehow pilot yourself up to within, you're probably just maybe 5 feet behind him, but that's about as close as you can get. And you realize that the engine is starting to really like shudder. Like, that you've probably, this thing isn't going to make it very much further. So the pilot looks around and he's definitely like, ooh, but he also realizes the condition of your ship, and knows that if he can just make it out of here, he's going to be all right. So with that in mind, what are you guys going to do?
Frobaka is going to try to launch himself onto the back of his ship.
Awesome. That's kind of what I thought. Yep. So go ahead and roll your athletics. Because it's fairly difficult to see and you guys are moving, I'm going to say that, so it's difficulty 2, but there's going to be 2 setback as well.
Excellent.
If I see his intent, can I give him a boost if I try to give him a shove off when he jumps?
Yeah, I suppose you could.
Right.
Not to get extra boost, but I'd add on that like I'd also be like even juicing the engine for even more of its remnants of life, trying to get a little farther, get them in there.
Yeah, or like presumably maybe what you could do is like you could like spin it around so that there's already some momentum, and then he can use that momentum along with, Helix kind of pushing him.
Perfect.
Yeah, if you want to do that, that's
Yeah,
fine.
definitely.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and add 2 boost.
All right, here it go. Oh shit.
Awesome. All right. So you're going to land in the water just short of this thing. But how do you want to use your 6 advantages?
Instead of grabbing the ship, I want to grab him and pull him into the water with me.
Okay.
Like Zohan, the guy. Like, just jump and, like, I'm going for the ledge and I miss it, but I grab his arm and just rip him right off into the water with me, and we both go down.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So that's what happens. And at this point, and you guys see that, right? You see swoosh, Frobaka go right into the water. And at this point, the engine on your repulsor sled cuts out. Like that, it can't take any more. So this thing is done. The repulsor sled that guy was that the Trandoshan was piloting is kind of moving along, right, just on its own power. I mean, eventually, because the accelerator isn't being pressed, it will die down. But you see that, and you see Frobaka just plunge into the water with the of the the surprised and now kind of frightened Trandoshan. And as you see that, you see the Trandoshan kind of trying to flail at Frobaka, try to hit him as they're going into the water. So actually, Frobaka, he's going to make an attack against you here. Let me see. Oh, he's not very good here at all, because there's only one of them. All right. Awesome. So he actually does manage to hit you, but he's only got what's he got here? He's only got 4 damage. So I don't even know if that makes it through your soak.
Oh yeah, Frobaka has 7 soak, so it doesn't even like penetrate the wiriness of his muscles.
Nice. Yeah, so like he kind of punches you, and what that does is that kind of gives you an advantage where you basically now have him like grappled, and so you're definitely under the water. Now he's got a breathing mask on just as you do. But you guys are definitely like sinking down, and you are the only thing you can see is him, and it's this hazy form because this is very murky, disgusting, thick, like almost warm swamp water. So what are you doing?
My rage is just taking me over.
All right. And how is that manifesting?
Oh, I'll attack this son of a bitch if I can. I'm going to go straight up Mad Claw. I'm going to do what Wookiees aren't supposed to do and just try to tear him to shreds with my hands.
Nice. Yeah, go for it.
All right.
So standard difficulty, just a 1 because you're engaged with him. And I'm going to say because of the advance. Yeah, that's fine. Just straight up attack.
All right. I'll aim with 1 maneuver, and I'm going to use Frenzied Attack and take a strain so I can upgrade one of my dice.
Okay. That works.
So I let out a roar as like some water gets in my mouth, and I gargle as like I'm going down, and I just like let go and then unleash with my hands, trying to pummel the shit out of him.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
And you do just that. So you definitely succeed in killing this guy. Go ahead and describe that scene.
Yeah, so as I let go and he like hisses at me, I come up side of his head with my elbow and strike him in the temple, and I hear something crack as he goes back, and then my big furry hand grabs his face, sticking 2 of the nails right through his eyes, and you just see me pop out of the water like I'm using him as a flotation device as my other hand goes to the neck, and I just start throttling him down. and you see like bubbles come out and his hands like fly around splashing water furiously. And then there's like two last big thumps. It's like one arm comes out and he tries to hit me on the shoulder, and then a weaker arm comes out, and then a very troutish arm, and then the bubbles stop. And I just stand there still throttling him, choking him, and you can see Frobach is really getting into this murder.
Nice. Yeah, and to kind of add to that, this sort of cloying smell or whatever is starting to permeate through your mask a little bit. Like you know, between the fetid, polluted swamp and now the blood of this, you know, Trandoshan, it's definitely like overpowering your senses a little bit. And yeah, he definitely, his body is limp now, and you can see it kind of just, I would, if you let it go, I would imagine it would just start to kind of float away until your vision, or until it's outside of your vision. But at this point, you realize that you can't necessarily tell up from down, right from left. Like, you're just in some nasty swamp water, and yeah, you can breathe, and that's good, but man, how are you going to get out of this?
I will. How does this breath mask affect my sounds that I make? Can I still be heard through it to some degree?
I mean, possibly, but like, so if you sort of think about it, it would be very muffled. You're underwater anyway, so any sound that you make is not going to be very loud. But yes, I would imagine some of it could be heard
Okay.
if somebody was really close to you.
Basically, I'm gonna depend on my party members here, and I'm just going to go into a dead man float on my back and try to conserve some energy.
Okay.
Because I don't want to, like, I know if I like start throwing around the water and like making loud grunting noises, I'm probably going to attract a fish or something. So instead, I'm just going to try to go flat and just lay on my back like seaweed and dangle there and hope someone finds me.
Okay. Nice. And so just as you kind of see, you guys, as you see Frobaka go into the water carrying the Trandoshan with him, and then like a couple of seconds later, you see, you know, some bubbles and like, you know, this, you can kind of see some blood floating along. So, and you're not sure, you could probably assume that it's not Frobaka's, but you don't know for sure. But you don't have time to react to that, because as that splash and as the sort of, you know, commotion, you know, the firing of the gun and everything, you hear this loud, and off to your left, you see this giant lizard-like creature coming out, and you guys are actually in the middle of the water right now, but it's probably 20 feet or so. There's like an island to your left, and there's like a little cave or something that this thing came out of, but it sees you and it's aware of you. So what are you going to do?
What's the state of the vehicle that I'm at the helm of? Did it go dead?
Yeah, it did. It has no acceleration capabilities.
I'm afraid to ask, but is it still like hovering?
It is, yes.
All right. And well, looking at the lizard, then looking at the land, and then over to where we last saw Frobaka enter the frothy swamp water. Like, what are the range bands roughly? Like, is the land, you said it's just right nearby. Looks like we could run and hop there, but
it's just out of range for you to like hop there. But you would be able to, like, if you were to jump in the water, you would be able to swim over there, you know, within a round.
And what about the transponder for the other ship? Because I think he might act. That might have been the most pressing thing. Does Zoda see a way to run to that?
Well, again, there isn't necessarily a way that you could get there without avoiding getting in the water. But yeah, the thing is stopped about probably an equal distance in the other direction. So maybe 20 to 25 feet in the other direction. You actually can hear the engine of it, but you can't see it.
Well, yeah, I guess then Zota would commit to taking up his force pike, and he's going to try and work on getting closer to the sound of that engine running to get a fresh craft and try to get the group back together.
Okay, like how so? Like, are you going to jump in the water and try to swim over there, or are you going to try to use your force pike as like an oar?
Well, what about, would getting to the land help me get there at all, or is it all
No,
water?
they're actually in the opposite direction. So like if your boat's here, the island is like probably over here, and then in the opposite direction over here is where that repulsor sled was.
Then I guess I'll just hop on the land, or just wait for the beast to do something then, and see how it progresses. I'll square off standing on the repulsor lift for now.
Okay.
Or the hut craft.
Yep. Absolutely. And so Helix, what are you going to do?
For the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to use my incidental. I'm going to toss Spot in the water towards where Frobaka went down. Spot, I don't know if you're aware, is Helix's little cam droid, and they can function underwater as well as in space. And basically, his mission is to, find Frobaka and lead him to the surface if possible. And then I will use my maneuver to drop my repeating blaster and pull the stun rifle out of the box, and then I will try to take a shot at this creature.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, so you do that, and yeah, the Spot goes into the water, and you see him submerge for just a minute, and then I would imagine almost like, in, I forget, I think it's Empire Strikes Back, where the thing, like, the little pops up,
Yeah,
yeah, and starts going when R2-D2 does his thing, yeah, so that happens, and then you kind of lean up against sort of like the wall of the repulsor sled or whatever, and,
right,
and start taking aim at the guy, or
yep, with this big lizard.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, I'll have the I don't know if it's an actual steadying or that's just what it does because it's a stun rifle, but I'll have the stun on.
I think with the stun rifle, you still have to activate it, if I remember correctly. Let me take a look. Like, you have to activate the stun setting. But
what kind of rifle is it?
It's the
ionization blaster, or
no, it's the LBR-9 stun rifle.
Does it say stun damage, or is it just stun?
Stun damage.
Yeah, stun damage will do it automatic.
Oh yeah, there you go. Nice.
And it also has disorient too, which I guess that's a quality I can activate if I do hit.
Yep. All right. So if it does stun damage, then that's good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
And what's the difficulty?
So you're within medium range. So you've definitely got that. But because of the difficulty in seeing, do you have any sort of optical sensors that can help you see through this fog and this mist and all that?
Well, I do have the talent brace, which removes environmental circumstances, any setback from that, and and I also have that sight only helps with lowers the difficulty of long and extreme. So yeah, basically I just have that brace maneuver.
Okay, so then in that case that will sort of dissipate or not. You don't have to worry about the.
It would lower the setback by 1, so I don't know what the.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So then in that case, you still have 1 setback because there's 2 setback that you guys basically have in most cases here. So yeah.
Okay, and then I'll also use my true aim, which allows me to get 1 boost for aiming and then 2 upgrades. So let's see what happens here. Oh shoot, let me see how much stun do I have. Or strain. Yeah, I'll go ahead and use it. Whew. So 2 hits and advantage.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So how much damage do you deal to this thing?
It does 11.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then with the successes, that would be what, 12, 13?
Yeah.
That's all stun.
Yeah. Just 12, I think, right? Because you deal, the first one is the regular one. Or no, yeah, for each success, yeah, and you got 2. So yeah, 13. Okay. Awesome. All right, so yeah, so you definitely managed to, fire, and I would imagine you kind of blast it right in the face with this stun. And I would imagine too that as that happens, well, actually, you tell me, do you have an idea for how you want to use your advantage? Do you want to just clear one strain, or do you
Trying to think. What you said that it spotted us and was already coming towards the ship, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I guess the only thing I can think of is that maybe if I could use that for Spot trying to find Probaka and to be able to lead him to the surface at least, so we can try to swim up and get some air.
Yep.
Visuals of where he's at.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do that. And Zota, remind me again what it was that you were doing.
I was just squaring off for a moment to see how the situation progresses with this lizard, if it
Okay.
where it might go next.
Okay, great. So we'll cut back to you in just a minute. Frobaka, you kind of are doing your sort of dead limp, whatever, like kind of trying to float yourself back up to the surface. Not quite sure if you are or not, but all of a sudden you feel like sort of this presence near you, and you see this little droid, under the water, like kind of circling around you, looking at you. Would you recognize this droid? Would you have any idea if this is Spot or no?
Yeah, I'd reckon probably so.
Okay. So then you do realize that is Spot, the the droid, Helix's droid. So, and it kind of starts going off in a different direction.
Oh yeah, I have like that mischievous droid music playing in the background from the Star Wars films, and I'll start like swimming behind it as it leads me back to the top.
Yep. Awesome. And so you do that, and you kind of, make your way through this thick, murky water. And just as you kind of break the surface, right, and the water and the film kind of clears from your eyes, and you push your, the Wookiee hair kind of out of your way, you see this ginormous, evil-looking lizard thing pounce and leap right over the water and onto the repulsor sled that that you guys just came from, and now is kind of just dead in the water, so to speak. And Zota, you see that as well. It lets out this horrible shriek and just rah, and leaps kind of at you. And it's because you're right there, it's definitely going to try to get you first. So do you have any defense or anything? Melee defense?
No defense, just some soak if it comes to that.
Oh, this is gonna hurt. Okay, let me see. Oh, nice. All right. I'm just taking a look at it. Yep. Okay. Ouch. Here we go. Roll. Did that?
Wash.
What? Oh, it washed. Okay. Man, you're lucky. I
stand aside.
Up on the thing, and it kind of swipes at you, with its, or actually it tries to take a bite at you, right? And I would imagine you kind of managed to like jump out of the way just a little bit. And now this thing is like towering over you, like I almost imagine you would have, you're not prone, but maybe like instead of being on your back, you're sort of like underneath this thing. Mechanically, this is a silhouette 3 creature. So it's big, right? It's really big. and this thing is towering over you. You can underneath it, you can see like this drool coming out of its mouth, and as it kind of plunks down plunk, 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 onto the deck of the repulsor sled, it starts to burn a little bit. So what do you do?
I'll have to try to whip around and bring my force pike to bear on it.
Okay, go for it.
All right, would that be 2 purples?
No, actually, in this case, it's just going to be, actually, you know what? I don't think in this case there's any, because it's a silhouette 3 and you're 2 silhouette below that, that reduces it to 1. And I think normally you would be just have a 1 difficulty for melee for engaged. So I think that's right. I think you wouldn't have any difficulty. Is that right? Or does it always have at least 1?
It's normally for engaged, it's 2 difficulty.
Oh, is it?
Okay. Yeah, I do think it never goes down below 1.
Below 1. All right, so just 1 then.
Cool. All right.
And then no setback in this case.
So yeah, I got 5 brawn, 2 proficiency, so all right, 1 success and 3 advantage. And the force pike has pierce 2.
Okay.
So that'll be 8 damage. So it does it does plus 3, and I got 5 for brawn, so 8.
Okay. Nice. So 8. 6. All right. This thing is definitely, and does it deal stun damage?
Yeah, it's a stun weapon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So you managed to kind of whack it, right? And it's definitely like, and it's stunned for a minute. It's not quite out of the fight yet, but this thing has definitely, between that shot that Helix gave it and you kind of whacking it, it did not expect that to happen. And so it's definitely like staggered a little bit. And just as at that moment, you kind of hear this. Actually, you wouldn't. You would just hear a splash kind of come out of the water as, you know, as Frobaka now emerges from the water. This guy is still standing there, and Helix, you would get this. I don't know how Spot communicates with you, if it has some kind of like way to communicate over a distance.
It has it can basically send video feed, you know, real time.
Yeah. Okay, and so
up to several kilometers away. So
nice. So that's what it does. It basically is like saying, "Okay, I'm back, and I found your friend." So what do you do at this point?
I think first, having that image, I would send him in the direction we saw the other repulsor sled going.
Okay.
To get a beat on that, and then, you know, I'd leave that up to Frobaka if he follows Spot, or if he comes to the boat or goes to land, whatever he wants to do. But then I would lift my rifle up to this creature and say, "Resistance is futile," as I take another shot.
Nice.
So how close is me? Would he be considered engaged?
Yeah.
So what would be the difficulty for shooting it engaged?
I think engaged is 1. Well, no, he's not engaged with you. He's at short range.
Okay.
So 1. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now use the true aim. I'm gonna need some recovery after this, man. And I forgot this last time. If I would have remembered to add this, I would have been able to trigger the disorient. But let's see. And it's 1 difficulty. Any setback?
No setback in this
Because
case.
it's close now.
Yeah, you're close. You're dialed in.
Okay. Big money, no whammy. Nice.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, so you actually do manage to drop this thing, and you kind of see it go "Ooh, ooh, ooh," and stagger a little bit, and it starts to kind of wobble to and fro. And Zoda, you realize this thing's about to fall on you. Um, and it's literally about to do that. So go ahead and make an athletics roll, difficulty 2, to get out of the way of it falling on you.
And I imagine as it's kind of doing this slow motion rock back and forth, that the whole repulsor sled is like going with it. And so for his part, Helix is kind of like doing that quick stutter step to either side as it's going to keep his balance as the ship's rocking back and forth.
Yeah, definitely.
And the way Zota is trying to get out of the way of this thing, if successful, he'd like to be like on top of it, climbing it, not on the bottom of it.
Okay.
To success.
All right. Nice. Yeah. So you do, in fact, you kind of manage to roll out of the way, and as it goes, you kind of like leap your way, up on top of it to ensure that that nothing, that you don't get squished by this thing. And this is basically now taking up, like, it's kind of crashed down. It's taking up this whole area, because it's not necessarily like half of it is on the flat part where a hut would sit, and kind of half of it's up on the cockpit and whatever. So it's definitely like subdued for now, but you realize that the device that was set up that was meant to keep it subdued all the way back to this, that's not going to work, right? So you've got this thing at this point, and
on a repulsor sled that can't move.
yeah, and a repulsor sled that can't move, exactly. And Frobaka, you kind of, I would imagine, are sort of up in the water at this point. Maybe you've brushed the hair and the water out of your eyes, and you see this final shot with the the ion rifle or whatever, and you see the large creature fall down. Zota kind of leaping out of the way and getting up on its back at the last minute. So, and then you see that, that little droid kind of speeding off in the other direction. So what do you do?
Yeah, I'll put my athleticism to use and start breaststroking after the droid, going for that other hovercraft.
Okay. All right, absolutely. So you're kind of swimming after it. Nice. Yeah, so that's fine. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to have you make a perception roll for me, difficulty 2 with 2 setback, because it's far enough away that it's difficult to see, and you're kind of direction is very difficult to kind of perceive.
Can he get a boost from Spot, trying to kind of lead him in that direction?
Yeah, I will say you can get a boost in the sense that, like, you kind of remember the direction that Spot went in, but you can't see him now. So yeah, that's fine.
Okay, did you say it was difficulty 2?
Yeah, difficulty 2 with 2 setbacks and 1 boost.
All right, I'm going to use a Destiny Point.
Okay.
And I'll let out like a roar after Spot as he gets out of my vision, like angered that the droid has abandoned me.
Nice. So you find your way, and you're swimming, kind of making your way slowly over there. And as you're doing that, you kind of feel this ripple in the water, but it doesn't feel like a large object moving under the water. It actually feels as though like something is, I don't know, maybe on top of the water moving along. You can't quite see it, and you can't quite hear anything, but something is definitely out there, and you're not quite sure what it is. And as you kind of make your way, you see the repulsor sled just sort of dormant there. The repulsor lifts are still going, right, but the engines aren't really firing because nobody's on the on the accelerator. And it's there's no Trandoshan body on there. This thing seems abandoned, and it's very eerie, right? It's almost like it's this ghost scene as you kind of swim up to this thing. So what do you do?
Oh yeah, I can feel a salty taste in my mouth as I get a bit paranoid and my wet fur stands up on the back of my neck, and I'll reach up and grab the base of it and try to pull my body up and slide onto it.
Nice.
Spot will be beeping as it's zipping circles around for Baka's head.
Okay. And just as you kind of climb your way up onto this repulsor sled, you kind of realize that you hear a humming, but you hear the humming of an engine, and you have time just to kind of look around and see some movement just off to your left, and then you see this cylindrical thing coming flying at you, and you realize that somebody has thrown a grenade at you. So, congratulations. That should be fun. Let me see what we've got going on here. He's got 3. And
now, have I stood up yet?
I don't know. No, actually, you would have been just kind of climbing your way up onto the thing. So I would imagine like just you're still probably on your hands and knees just as you were about to stand up.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a defense.
Yep. All right. And let's see. Do you have any other defense besides that?
Nope, just the prone one.
Okay. Oh, and he's got another one here. Let's see. Ooh, okay. So this cylindrical object comes in, ding, 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 and kind of bounces off of the sort of the side of the and kind of goes up into the cockpit and goes and detonates, and it's this sort of like concussive force, this blue light sort of emanating from it. You realize that this thing is a stun grenade, and you're unaffected by it. But what ends up happening is it kind of short circuits the controls on this thing for a minute, but it also has a blast radius where this guy, whoever threw it, you hear, and you can kind of hear something happening, and then you hear a splash.
Do I see any ripples in the splash as I get up? Like any hole in the basically like a ring in the swamp where it looks like someone's fallen?
Yeah, it does look like somebody's fallen in.
Back into the drink once more. I'll dive at the ripple.
Okay, nice. Go ahead. You will have to make another perception check as well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Same difficulty?
Yeah, same difficulty. You won't get a boost this time, though.
I'll use the last destiny point we got.
Okay. Wow.
I'll take that.
Okay. So you find him, and as you kind of are swimming, you see this Trandoshan head popping up over, kind of out of the water, spluttering a little bit. And you manage to kind of swim your way over undetected, but not fast enough before he starts climbing back up onto his repulsor. But you do have that triumph. How do you imagine that would work in a perception situation like this?
So I go after him. Like, how close am I to him when he begins to climb back on the sled?
You would probably be around like 10 feet away.
Okay. I think what I would do then is, with the Triumph, if I could, I want to swim under the sled and try to climb up the A opposite side.
Okay.
So, like, when he gets on top, I'm rising up on the other side of it to meet him.
All right. Absolutely. Yeah. So go ahead and do that. I won't make you roll athletics. What I am going to do, though, is you kind of pop your way up and you kind of, like brute force your way, just total upper body strength over. And I would imagine kind of like, just pop yourself up. And just as the Trandoshan is kind of getting to his feet, and he sees you and he looks at you and you see just this like grin on his face, like, yep, it's go time. He's ready for a brawl. But we're going to cut back for just a minute to the other scene, because you also, just as that happens, you see this droid floating back, and so Helix, you get the, sort of the relay or whatever, right? The video of this, right? You see this scene kind of playing out just as I described it. So what do you do?
So, standing over this creature, as he gets this feed, he will play the audio of it over his speakers as he gets Zoda's attention and says, the Wookiee has found another Trandoshan.
And Zoda would look in that the direction he believes the repulsor sled to be, and I think knowing that the repulsor sled is dead beneath him, he'd probably think to swim, probably leaving his pike on this sled. And so, yeah, he'd dive in the water and start swimming in the direction towards that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So you're in full laminate armor, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you can do that, but go ahead and make an athletics roll for me, difficulty 2, because, it's pretty heavy, right? Like your natural state, you're going to sink if you're not really kind of fighting against this, thick water. So, yeah, so you go ahead and do that.
Sorry, difficulty 2?
Yep, difficulty 2.
Did you say step back as well?
No, not in this case, because the fog and the mist isn't going to affect that. You know where you're going.
Just advantage, so I don't swim.
Yeah,
there.
so
I guess the goal might have been my failure, but
what I'll say you can do in this case is you jump into the water and you realize that, like, for whatever reason, you're just not able to get anywhere. And so you kind of make your way back and you're kind of hanging on to your damaged repulsor sled. You can pull yourself back up if you want, or you can, take a minute and make another another attempt. But yeah, you definitely were like, whether you couldn't see or you just started to sink too fast, it was unsuccessful.
Yeah, I think
Helix throws him a little floaty.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, Zoda will pull himself up and he'll say, "In Iridonia, the water's all acid. We never get swimming."
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
Yeah, I guess he'd pick his pike back up and he'd be looking at their own sled, but he knows not how to repair one. Maybe he'd look to the land. Does he think that might be an easier swim, and maybe he can look for something other way to get around from there?
Possibly. I mean, certainly on the land, obviously you'd be on dry ground and you don't know how far it goes, but there's definitely a cave on there. Beyond that, you're not quite sure.
What do you think we should do, Helix? I don't want to leave this creature alone for too long, and he'll like click his force pike on. He won't touch the creature, but he'll like skirt its flesh with the force tip.
Nice.
Agreed. One of us will have to stay and one will have to go.
Do you think Spock could help you get over there?
I can find my way.
I'll stay with the beast.
Okay. So you go, yeah, so you stay with the beast on the thing here, and you do realize that it's starting to, I mean, it's breathing, and its breathing is regulated, but this thing is a large beast. You don't necessarily know how long this thing will stay out. So definitely, if you want to keep an eye on it and kind of monitor it, and if it starts to twitch or move or whatever, you can definitely take action. But yeah, and so Helix, you're gonna head over to the land, or are you gonna head towards the other boat?
I think just to be safe, I'm going to give the creature another shot with the gun.
Okay.
And then jump in the water and start making my way to Frobaka.
All right, fine. Yeah, you don't even have to roll. You just like shoot at it with another blast. Yeah. So you'll still have to make an athletics roll because. Go ahead.
Well, that's my question. Since I'm not really worried about like drowning and breathing and stuff. Can I just float to the bottom and walk, or what is that I'm going to find down there basically?
Yeah, well, so maybe, right? I mean, you don't necessarily know what's down there or how deep this swamp is, but
that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to like drop in like a depth charge and then start making my way over. Now I don't know, but I assume Helix would know. Is water going to be damaging to either of these my weapons, my heavy blaster or the stun rifle? Or are they okay to get wet, submerged?
I would say if they're not submerged for too long, probably they'll be fine. I think it's a matter of if the water gets in where the power pack is and kind of creates a short. So I would say, if you're going to walk across the bottom, that might be too long. Okay,
what if I'm going to leave the stun rifle because I need it for the creature. And the creature's here, and I don't know if that's something that he can use or not. But I guess what I'll do is my other rifle, I'll just put it in the rifle case and carry it, and hopefully that case will provide some protection. And and then I'll jump in the water.
Yeah, I would say that's reasonable for sure. So you jump in the water, and you're kind of heading your way over to the boat, and again, you're sort of just like letting yourself sink and then walk across the bottom.
Yep.
Okay. And maybe using Spot as kind of a
well, I assumed with the feed I'll have like GPS or coordinates somehow. Sure. I'd be able to get a general direction of where he's at.
All right, yeah, so that works. So, so Zota, yeah, you see him kind of just go in and then doesn't come back up, and you kind of hear this growl off in the the mist outside, and we cut back to Frobaka and Trex, and what I'm gonna do actually is have us roll initiative. In this case, we're both gonna roll cool.
Should I go ahead and roll since I'm trying to make my way over there?
Well, if you're not if you're just gonna walk across the bottom, I'll just say no, you just do it. It'll take a few rounds, but you'll be able
okay, yeah, and I'll just roll once I get up to him to see where I go in. Assuming the fight's still going on, I'm pretty sure Frobaka can take him out.
Right. All right, let me take a look here. What is his cool? Oh, geez, not much. All right. So, Frobaka, yes, you get to act first. So this guy's menacing you.
Actually, if I can, since Spot's there, and he can also broadcast like a holovid, I want him to go behind the Trandoshan so he can't see, but that Frobaka can see, and have him just do a little quick holovid that shows me walking across, the murky bottom, so he knows that reinforcements are coming.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
What's the ruling Sam on my vibro axe? Because I've had that with me in the water.
You know what? Just because I'm going to be a jerk, I'm going to flip a destiny point and say it is no longer a vibro axe. It would just be an axe.
So what would would that be, like 4 damage plus brawn, like a large improvised?
Yeah, I would think that makes sense. But I will say that if you got those stun gloves, I'll say those are unaffected.
Yeah, screw it. I'll keep it on my back then. And when I see the broadcast behind him, like show Helix walking across the bottom of the water, I'll laugh in Shiri look. And I'll
Nice.
like shake my fur off like a dog.
Yep.
And I'll power up the shock gloves, and they'll like crackle and like arc off of some of the beads of water. And I'll smack my hands together twice and lunge at him and go right for the jaw.
All right, nice. Go for it.
Okay. And I'll use aim and frenzy again, so that takes me down to 4 strain remaining.
Okay.
And does he have any defense?
Oh, you know what? Does he? No, but he actually, you do have to add 1 to the difficulty because he has the adversary talent.
Excellent. Okay, here we go.
Holy shit.
So 4 success and a triumph. So damage wise, because I have 37, so it'd be 12 damage.
Okay.
I'm thinking with the triumph, what kind of weapon does he have in his hand?
So right now he doesn't have a weapon in his hand. At his belt, though, he definitely has a heavy blaster pistol, and you see a couple more grenades.
Does one of them? Can I tell by looking at him as we're squaring up? Does one of them look like a frag or something non-stun?
No, but the other thing you notice is he does actually have on his back a jetpack.
Okay, so with the triumph, I'll come in and like smack him with the left, and can my right shock glove catch the jetpack and just like annihilate it?
Yeah, okay. I think that would make sense. So you kind of like with one, and then with your other one, and kind of like bury itself in the in the jetpack. But what I'm gonna say is that those 3 threat is that you kind of get tangled up in there, so like you're kind of stuck, like your arm is like stuck there. So he's definitely like, you whacked him good, right? He's like, ugh. But then with your other one, you're like, and you're kind of stuck.
Yes, so I imagine like he moves to the left and I move with him with my hand in there, then he moves to the right, and we both tug a couple times, and then we know it's on. This is a cage fight to the end now.
Yeah, definitely. And oh man, let's see.
Oh, it is worth stating too that all the shock glove damage is strain damage.
Okay.
I don't know if he has a strain threshold or not.
Yeah, he does. All right.
It still goes through soak though.
Yeah,
yeah. The soak comes off.
Yep. Okay, that's good. Good. Boom. Yeah. So, what do I want to do? Yep, I think that's what we're gonna do. Oh no, how bad do I want to be? I'm just thinking because, all right, no, I'm not going to do it because you had a triumph and that's cool. So, all right. So, yeah, he's basically now going to just wail back at you with his fists. So he's definitely like, and just going to try to actually claw at you with his nasty claws. So, let's see. I think we get 2 here. Actually, I'm going to use Dark Side Point to upgrade that.
Frobaka will use a light side point to give him a challenge die too.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking with his damaged jetpack, if he gets a despair, we could have something pretty badass happen.
Yeah, but it could be bad for both of you. We'll see.
I accept the risk.
Nice. And I'm going to give him a boost because you're kind of stuck there as well. So let's see how this turns out. Oh, wow. Ouch, dude. Okay. let's see. So yeah, he definitely is like whoosh, and slashes at you with his claws. What are the damage on that for? I'm going to use his triumph actually to activate the crit. So he's going to crit on you, and he's got lethal blows, so I get to add +10 to any critical injury rolls. Cool. All right, so let's see. So first, ooh,
So 99.
ouch. All right, where's my little chart here? Here we go. Critical injury, 99. Crippled. Ooh, one of the target's limbs selected by the GM is crippled until healed or replaced. Increased difficulty on all checks that require use of that limb. So, yeah, what I'm going to say then is his face. Yeah, no, his face is already too ugly. He's going to come down and with his claws and he slashes right through you, and the force of his blow between his claws going into your arm and just the force of it breaks your arm.
That's the arm that's caught in the jetpack, right?
Yeah, the one that's caught in the jetpack, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And then, yeah, and so he's going to do that. Now, at this point, Frobaka, you're kind of like, oh, your arm is right there. And Plex, you would see this, right, all on the holo vid. It's going to take you 2 more rounds to get there, because you're walking across the bottom. The damage on that was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All right, so one of it goes through my soak.
Yep. But you got that broken arm, which
Now that's a brawl attack from him too, correct?
It is, yeah.
And does he attack with claws, or does it do normal like strain brawl damage?
No, he's attacking with claws. Yeah.
Okay, so it comes off of wounds.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Oh man, broke his jetpack. That's not cool. All right. So yeah, so he does that, and he starts letting out this laugh, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, Wookie. I think this is going to be your time to die, and I look forward to taking your pelt back to Teemo." And we're going to cut back to Zoda for a minute.
Zoda won't chance it. He's going to engage the pike and just drag it along like the belly of this beast, ensuring that it's going to slumber for a little longer. Just as he drags the force tip along it.
Oh man! All right, you might be dealing so much force or stun damage. This guy's gonna be like out forever. You'll get him back there, and he'll just never be the same. Be like, why is my Chemilizard so woozy all the time?
He's housebroken.
Yeah, constantly falling asleep. Nice. Yeah. So that's cool. And it's taking Plex 2 more rounds. Okay. Now, Frobaka, you realize that this Trandoshan Trex is really powerful. He's really fast. This guy is a real badass, okay? And as he kind of just broke your arm with one of his, kind of claws or whatever, he's going to bring his other arm around and he's going to attack you. He gets another attack. But I have to spend... Oh, no, I don't, actually. That was for something else. Give me that back. Thank you. Let me see. All right. Do you want to go ahead and use that that last light side point?
Nope, I'm gonna hold it.
Okay. Let's see. Brawn and Brawl 1. Okay. Roll. No, he doesn't have that. Oh, yes, he does. Roll. Boom. 1 success and 1 threat. All right. So, again, he whacks you, and it won't actually damage you because it's only 5 damage. But what happens in the meantime is your arm is still kind of stuck in the jetpack, and it had kind of like had this fuel leak out, and the fuel has kind of gotten onto the hull of the speeder, and it's below you, and he actually slips and falls on his back, and he takes you down on top of him. And so you guys are kind of like, just like sort of fell down here. But that might give you an opportunity. So what do you want to do?
Oh yeah, I'm going to exploit that. If I come down on top of him, I'm just gonna fire up my left shot glove and try to pummel him on, like sucker punch him on the side of the head.
Okay, yeah, definitely, and that'll give you a boost.
Okay. Once again, I'm going to use frenzied attack, so I take another strain. Puts me down to 3.
Yep.
And I'm going to use that light side point.
Okay.
Now, because of crippled, I believe that increases difficulty, right? Not a difficulty upgrade.
Yeah, I think it does. Let me just read it again. Increase difficulty of all checks that require the use of that limb by
Excellent.
1. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd be going, and he's adversary 1, so it'd be 2 purple, 1 red.
Yep.
For the engaged. All right, and I'm going to aim as well with my 1 maneuver I can use.
Okay.
All right, here we go. 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, you know what? I can double activate stun. So what I can do, I've stun 3. To stun, actually, stun takes 2. But can you only activate stun once? I don't know about that, actually.
Yeah, I think the way I understand it is that really any of those, I think you can only activate them once, but if you have multiple things, you can use. So like you could activate your stun for whatever that costs.
Yeah, then activate
and then if you have extra, something else. Exactly.
All right, so with 4.
Or if you want to, you could activate stun and then maybe potentially Helix could use those extra advantages to get there this next round.
Yeah, because I'd have 4 advantages left over. So okay, Here's what I think I'll do. I'll activate stun. So this first part is affected by soak still.
Yeah.
So first I will do him for 9 points of damage.
Okay.
And soak comes off of that. Then I will do him 3 stun. And this is the active kind of stun, so it goes straight off of his strain threshold. There's no reduction from soak.
All right.
Then with how many advantages of those 4 would it take to speed up Helix's approach?
So he was 2 rounds out. If you want to say he'll get here next round, I would say 2. If you want him to get here, like in the next initiative order, you can spend all of them.
You know what? Hand to hand can ensnare, can it? I think I remember reading that in one of the blocks in the books, but I don't know where.
I don't know, but also being that you only kind of have 1.
Oh, only
limb,
that might impede it.
Yeah, I don't know if that would make sense in this case.
All right, what if I, with the 4 remaining advantages, what if I split the difference? I let out a loud scream, like a Wookiee scream, so he hears me underwater faintly.
Yeah.
And like knows where we're at to make his approach quicker.
Yeah.
And I then, with the other 2 advantages, like I throw myself down and try to pin him on the ground to give him a setback when he tries to make another attack against me.
Okay.
Like kind of cluster him down.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Setback. Attack. All right. So Helix, you'll make it there next round, but what he's going to do in this case, what Trex is going to do in this case is he's going to try to actually kind of push you off Frobaka and see if he can kind of disengage from you here. And then if that's successful, he's got another nasty trick up his sleeve. So let's see. Start with 3. Oh, lame. He doesn't have athletics. Blah. That's probably athletics, not brawl, huh?
I mean, you can do it like a couple different ways. Yeah, you could definitely do it with athletics for sure.
Yeah.
It could just be a brawl attack though. It might be something as easy as like he brawls, and if he gets knocked back, he like knocks me off of him. Or
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll do that. All right, and then I'm going to use one of my dark side points to upgrade this. Boom, boom. And then, let's see. In this case, because he's trying to brawl you and you only have the one limb, would that give him a boost? Ah, shit, why not? 3 success, 2 threat, and a triumph. Okay, so what he does is he pushes you off, kind of your arm like ripping out of the, you know, kind of out. So your arm is free. It's still broken, but it's no longer stuck in his jetpack there. And he tries to stand up, but he can't. He falls down, and what he does is he actually falls into the water. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that triumph to say that one of his stun grenades remains on the boat and goes off. So stun grenades, ooh, those do 8 stun damage. So I think that goes all to strain, right?
Yeah, it depends how you. Well, stun damage won't go. It'll go to strain, but it'll be less soak. However, does it have blast on it?
Yep.
So I mean, it's really up to how you interpret it. Either, I mean, potentially.
But don't you need advantages to activate blast though, or does it automatically?
Well, normally with like, yeah, you need advantages too. But I mean, we're in the realm of narrative stuff, anyways. Because you can't drop a grenade without making a range attack either. So it's really up to how Sam wants to do it.
Yeah, I'm using that triumph fairly liberally here.
Yeah, I mean, if you want the grenade to have like the full effect, it would be the blast and the normal both.
No, I'll say in this case, it will. So it does 8, but your soak will apply in this case.
Ooh, okay, so that would take my strain down to 2. Yep. So Frobaka would like almost be to the extent where he's like passing out from like nerve damage and stress.
Nice. And yeah, so you're kind of just like whatever on the thing. And
you know, like Rocky 4, where it looks like Rocky's gonna get killed by
by the Russian.
Yeah, by the Russian. That's exactly what it's like. Ugh. Like I'm slack-jawed and I'm like stumbling and trying to hold myself up as I'm slipping on the oil.
Okay, nice. Yeah. And Helix, you would you would kind of see this last scene, and you would actually see the Trandoshan plunging into the water off the side of the ship, or off the side of the repulsor sled. And he's kind of just going into the water somewhat disoriented, but you do have an opportunity to act. So what are you going to do in that case?
Well, given that we're submerged, I don't see the rifle being an option, but what I would do is grab the gappy stick that's attached to my leg and pull that off and try to take a swing at him.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to say in this case, because you're underwater, and, you know, kind of swinging anything is going to be harder and have less impact. Go ahead. You still use two difficulty, but I'm going to give you 2 setback as well.
Okay. Does he have any melee defense?
No, he does not.
Okay. He's already went. That doesn't apply. That doesn't apply. I can still use that. Okay.
Oh, except you know what? I keep forgetting the adversary. So he's got you have to upgrade it by 1, so it's three purple.
Okay. 3, 2, 3, 2 setback, right? Okay. Bam. So 4 successes and 2 threat.
Nice.
That'll be 10 damage.
All right. Okay. So, and that's actually to his wounds, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that one actually is
Basically just a big metal pipe.
Yeah.
Thing kind of hit him with.
Okay. So you kind of whack him right in the head, and but he also manages to kind of grab a hold of you, grabbing onto the arm that just hit him with the gaffy stick, and he kind of uses that, and he puts his foot on you and kind of propels himself back up to the surface. And what that does, and this is how I'm going to use those 2 threat, what that does is that kind of pushes you back down a little bit, like it starts you to sink again. So if you'll have to spend, some time, kind of swimming your way back up, so to speak. But yeah, he definitely breaks the surface. And let's see. Zota, are you gonna still make sure this thing is out?
So.
Yeah.
I think so. By now he's climbing up back on top of it again to make sure he's got a very good view of it, holding the pike at the ready. But he'll be vigilant to see if its vitals pick up and it needs another dose of stun.
Okay. Absolutely. And so, yeah, so it's still out for right now. Frobaka, you would we'll cut back to you for a minute. You'll through your sort of disoriented, your hazy eyes and the haze and all that, you see the Trandoshan break the surface again. And you see him kind of swimming his way back towards the repulsor sled. But you guys were kind of in the back fighting on like the platform area. He's making his way up towards like the cockpit. Looks like he might try to like take off with this thing. So what do you want to do in that case?
Is he's not on it yet?
No, not yet.
I will jump up and just walk over to the front of the ship and try to grab the wheel and I want to pull forward out of his range so he knows I'm about to fucking strand him with the murderous droid.
Okay. That's fine, yeah, and you don't like need to roll or anything. You kind of just go up and you're like, and I would imagine you can sort of just barely do it. Like you just start as slow as this thing is going, just like ponderously kind of, floating out of the way. And you see him start to pick it up a little bit. He's trying to swim towards it, and he is kind of gaining on it. But what you're doing is at this point he would kind of have to climb on the back. But neither of you guys are going very fast, and yeah, at that point, Helix, you would be able to make your way back up to the surface, and I would imagine you'd be able to break the surface at this point, and you'll see the Trandoshan probably 20 feet ahead of you swimming towards the repulsor sled, and you'll see the repulsor sled just kind of slowly, moving along.
How far are we in my position from like the land that we saw or the other repulsor sled?
So you guys were kind of going in the opposite direction. You were probably 20 to 40 feet away from that. And now you're probably another good 10 feet away. So you wouldn't even be able to see the land or where you were before.
Well, I meant the how about the repulsor sled that the Trandoshans were using? Wasn't that like
that's
right
the one that's going? That's the one that they're on right now. So yes, that you can see. That's the one that Frobaka is.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought he had his own separate one. Okay.
No, he had something else, but you guys haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, I'll just send Spot chasing after them as I move after him.
Okay. Yeah, and if you want to try to like get there faster, you could certainly kind of make an athletics check and try to swim there.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And I'll say difficulty 2 in this case.
Difficulty 2. That's right. That's right. So 3 successes.
Nice. All right. Yeah, so you basically are swimming your way along, or maybe you have like some kind of jump jets or something in your, in your chassis there or whatever, but you're like propelling yourself along, and you actually can catch up to the Trandoshan.
Well,
if you want to, or you can try to go past him and get to the repulsor sled, but
no, I think I want to basically, if I can, try to give him another whack, grab onto him and give him another whack in the back of the head.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, go for it. And yeah, so difficulty 3. And I'm actually going to upgrade one of them, so 2 purple and 1 red.
Any setback?
No.
Because I'm not underwater anymore, right? So,
right.
Okay. 2 purple, 1 red. Oh boy. Okay, cool. So 1 hit and 4 advantage.
Yeah.
That's enough to activate Disorient 3.
Nice. All right. Sweet. Disorient.
And that's also another 6 damage.
Oh, wow. All right. Dazed opponent disoriented. Adds. Wow. Okay. Cool. So 6 damage, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
And then he's disoriented for 3 rounds.
Okay.
Which is basically he adds 1 setback to all checks he makes.
Yep. All right. So yeah, he's definitely sort of, gets hit over the head again with the gaffy stick, and he kind of, at this point, turns around, and he's definitely like, he's going to just start swimming away from you guys at this point. He's trying to get out of the way. He doesn't want to have anything more to do with you. So are you going to let him go, or are you going to pursue?
At that point, I'm going to start swimming for the sled, but I'm going to send a Spot up into the air to kind of track him. And as soon as I can pull myself up on the sled, I'll say, let's go run him down.
I'm going to, before we...
And actually, go ahead. I was just going to say a Plex or a Helix will drive if you want to be free to try to lay a smack down or do whatever you want to do.
He will growl as you get on the sled and say, "Ugh! What about Zota? Where is he?"
He'll lift a hand as he drops his rifle case on the deck of the thing, and water and grime is just sliding down his Cortez's frame as he casts a look back over his shoulder. He's back there with the lizard.
And
it is subdued for the moment.
Is that safe for him to be alone?
he can't really shrug or raise an eyebrow, but he just looks at him and says, "Well, we can head back, or you can finish off your prey. The choice is yours."
I'll like weigh the odds in my head, and I'll slowly relinquish the wheel.
So you're gonna head back?
I think, yeah, Frobach will head back. He doesn't want to push it too far. He already dealt the Trandoshan a mighty blow.
Yeah. What I'm gonna say though is that you're gonna take one strain for that, because despite that, you're still like, oh man, letting a Trandoshan go is just weighing so heavily on your mind. And if your arm wasn't broken, you would be going after him.
Oh yeah, the only thing that's stopping me from doing it is that my character's named Honored Ally. Yeah. And if I go after him and I let Zoda die, if that thing reawakens, then I really dumb fucked up.
Nice.
But yeah, he's not happy about it for sure.
Okay.
Well, you did say you relinquished the controls, right?
Yep.
Yep. I just walk to the back and like sit down.
So basically, I'm going to take the controls. I'm going to gun it and just try to run him over with a sled.
Okay. When you, okay, yeah. So you're trying to do that. You're kind of, kind of trying to run him down there, and as he sees you coming, he actually dives under the water. Now, I mean, potentially you could kind of, circle around or whatever. But remember too that this thing isn't like the most maneuverable and not super fast, right? So like you kind of would be like, in a circle or whatever.
Yeah. So under, basically when he does that, I will circle around a couple times and I'll say, I did not realize Trandoshans were so cowardly. And then he'll pull off and head back to the other sled.
You'd hear in the distance the crack, crack, crack of the force pipe going off every so often.
Awesome.
Yeah, and, my arm will just like be like all matted with blood and all like fucked up looking, and I'll say, Trandoshans are all cowards. He'll be back.
Indeed. Awesome. Yeah, and so at that point, you guys are able to successfully make it back to the to Zota and the poor Chemilizard that's just been abused even after it's unconscious. But and you guys kind of managed to kind of back the one hut sled up to the other and sort of manage to maneuver it along. And it's actually easy once you get it onto the working sled, because it's all covered with jetpack oil and whatever. So it's like, oh, he moves along quite nice. And as you're kind of pulling away, you see come out of the come out of the cave on the land where that guy was. You see like two more Chemilizards. Like one is kind of a bigger one and one's a smaller one. They just kind of come up and they start growling, and it looks like one of them's gonna pounce at you, but then doesn't. And you realize that as you're kind of going along this swamp, there's like trees kind of overhanging, and you see, just these gigantic swamp snakes and all of this dangerous, fauna that's around. And as you're kind of like choking on the nasty, well, I guess you have your breathers on, but even still with the just horrible stench that's coming through and that thick air, you start thinking about, man, like, great, we're going to get some credits here, and we went on this monster hunt and whatever, but what are the bigger implications of this? And so as you get back into the, kind of Bilbosa's, port where you kind of pull, and you see, a couple of people there, that Rodian that was there initially he's not there this time. You get a couple of Twi'leks that have, they're definitely slaves. You can tell they have slave brands. They're Triloc slaves. And they, they're like, oh my, it looks like you are quite the hunters, and we did not expect you to succeed. And one of them is like blue and he's the male one talking. The other one is like this kind of pale white female. And she's just kind of making preparations. They've got another sled and they've got like a winch, and they're kind of doing their thing and getting it ready. And the male Twi'lek looks over to you, Zota, and he says, "Well," and he kind of hands you guys a credit chip, and he says, "You've done good work. This thing is alive. Doesn't look too badly damaged. Here's your credits." And Triloc gives you her gratitude. And if you ever need anything, well, meet her on Nar Shaddaa.
Well, it was quite the hunt, and must thank you kindly for the credits. And could you point me to a doctor for my Wookiee friend? And no doubt, yeah, he's almost a dead Wookiee walking.
and they say, "I certainly could, but I recommend you get off planet as soon as you can. The Trandoshan that you were with, well, rumor has it he was working for Jabba. Not sure why, but if you've got the ire of Jabba the Hutt, you don't want to be staying around here."
All of a sudden, Frobaka can't decide whether he's glad he didn't kill him now, or horribly, horribly pissed that he didn't.
Yeah, right. And so as the scene kind of fades out, as that's sort of the last thing, it kind of fades to black, and you guys have succeeded in your mission, but it does beg the question, who's the true predator of Nal Hutta? Was it this Chemilizard, or is it the Hutts themselves? And what I hope is that this has set up potentially the idea of a conflict between two Hutt factions that might be able to be played out later on.
Yeah, when he hears the news, Helix will release a very unnerving electronic truckle, as he's accidentally been able to further this conflict between two Hutts, which goes directly to what his mission is more than the money, as some payback, knowing now that word will get back, and the connection that they have to Triloc will be known, and he most certainly will look to use that to his advantage in the future.
Absolutely. And oh, guys, remind me, what was the name of Marcus's character in the Coral Vanda caper?
Is that Core, his pilot?
Core, yeah.
Yep, Core.
Okay.
I don't know. No offense, Core, but more of a wannabe pilot, I think.
Well, yeah.
Until he gets a little more training.
He's a planetary pilot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't that like the second ship that he virtually destroyed?
Yeah, in fairness, he tried to fly the first one through an asteroid field, so
Yeah.
he reaped it bad on that.
Yeah, by the third hit, that ship just wasn't cooperating with anything.
I thought he was an assassin, not a pilot.
Yeah, well, exactly.
He is, yeah. He's a bounty hunter assassin.
But to that point, you guys see kind of as you're, recovering wherever you are, a bounty does come across the HoloNet for the human smuggler Core, put out by Triloc the Hutt for 50,000 credits. There was rumors of somehow, even though this human, this Corellian, came away with all this money, he never paid the Hutt back for all of the money that he used in her name. And so should anyone wish to take on this bounty, there will be further adventures in Hutt space. And so with that, I'm going to stop the broadcast. But I wanted to thank you guys. I had a good time. I am not super comfortable with the rules yet, but we'll get there, and that's that.